Hi, my name is Tobey Pierce, and I'd like to share a devotional thought with you today. If I mention Neil Armstrong, well, you'd likely think, oh yeah, that was the first person to walk on the moon. But if I mention Ed White, would you remember Ed White? Well, Ed White was the first American to do a spacewalk. So on June 3rd, 1965, NASA astronaut Ed White was in a Gemini capsule orbiting the Earth at a speed of 17,000 miles per hour. He stepped out of the space capsule and into space for the first American spacewalk. Well, he was attached by only a 23-foot cord, a tether, and Ed White floated in space for roughly 20 minutes. They're going at 17,000 miles per hour. And so he traveled 6,500 miles while outside of that space capsule for about 20 minutes. Well, during his spacewalk, Ed White said, "I'm not coming in. This is fun." Well, if you look up Ed White's spacewalk on YouTube, then you can see where at just a little over 5 minutes into his spacewalk, he loses a glove. Well, fortunately, there was another glove on his hand and kept his spacesuit pressurized. What would have happened if losing that glove had caused his spacesuit to not be pressurized anymore? Well, he would have died, wouldn't he? He could not live out there. He was not made to live out there. Well, it makes me think about that as Christians, we're to walk in God's ways. As 1 John 1 and verse 7 says, we are to walk in the light as he is in the light. And when we do that, the blood of Jesus Christ, his son, cleanses us from all sin. Logan and Lacey Summers are with us this weekend. If you're listening to this on Saturday morning, and if it's not 9 o'clock yet, come on out and have breakfast with us and meet Logan and Lacey. You'll be glad you did. I've listened to a number of Logan's lessons, and I've enjoyed them all. And one of the lessons, he mentions Nehemiah chapter 8 and the things that were going on there. And I want to put what happened there in Nehemiah chapter 8. I want to talk about that in reference to this devotional. In Nehemiah chapter 8, the people are reading the book of the law, the scriptures. And they realize that God had wanted an annual observance of what was known as the Feast of Tabernacles. And this was a time when each family would make a tent out of branches, and they'd live in that tent for a week. Nehemiah 8 and verse 15 says, "Go out into the hills and bring branches of olive, wild olive, myrtle, palm, and other leafy trees to make booths, as it is written." And they were to live in that tent, that booth, for 7 days. Well, once the people knew what God wanted, they did it. And in verse 17, it says that there was very great rejoicing. Now, at that time, the people had not observed that time. They had not made the tents to live in for 7 days. They hadn't done that for right at 1,000 years, since the time of Joshua, the son of Nun. Well, why do we do what we do? Well, we do what we do to restore the New Testament church. We walk in God's ways. We worship the way the New Testament shows us. You know, I've been blessed to be a shepherd for some 23 years at this congregation now. And one of the patterns that I've noticed in people over the years is that those who come sporadically seem to have the most unhappy lives. They seem to be the people that for whom life rarely goes well. And often it's only when they hit rock bottom that they try to make an effort to start coming continuously, consistently. Well, that's not walking in the light, is it? And as incredible as Ed White's spacewalk must have been, I can't imagine that. Being outside of the capsule. Nothing really between you and the atmosphere except probably a plastic shield. Wow. The things he must have seen. But he couldn't live out there. He wasn't made to live out there. You were created by God to be with God, to walk with him and in his way. There is life with God. There's life in walking in his way. There isn't life away from that. You can make God pleased. And as you do, it will be a blessing to you each and every day. You can do this. Please the Lord.
If you would like more information, or if you'd like to participate in our Bible studies and worship services, we would love to have you come join us at the Northeast Church of Christ in Albuquerque, New Mexico.